we were monitoring with by Professor Inarico, and he was also supporting us. And as you can see, we are mostly concentrated on sun to activate a smart village in Ethiopia. Our project's objective is, as we understand from the title, to have a smart village which is depend on the sun energy, but we will implement it on different specific objectives: energy, on irrigation, on food processing, and residual energy system. The first objective it will be to implement the sun energy for irrigation. Ethiopia, we are mostly depend on agriculture. 72% of the GDP is depend on in agriculture. So we want some technologies that can support us on agricultural productivity to proceed a food secure country. So the government is implementing different agricultural activities. Mostly we are depend on rainfall agriculture. So now irrigation is coming up to the country to boost the agricultural productivity. So our first objective is to use this solar energy to irrigate the land by using as a source energy source. So as you can see from the slide, we are thinking to use the PV solar panels to invert the energy to pumping the water for irrigation purpose. The second objective, it will be food processing. We are thinking to use also solar energy and residue of the production, the irrigation production crops to produce biodiesel to transfer for small industries, to use small industries for processing purpose. The third objective, it will be using solar energy for residual purpose, for lighting mostly, because mostly the rural people of Ethiopia are doesn't have an access to electricity. More or less 5% of the residential rural people are only have an access for energy purpose for lighting. So we want to improve this percentage by using solar energy. So our overall objective from the three specific objectives are to change this village into the coming sun-activated smart rural village, which will have a better irrigation, a better electricity, and a better production to have a very smart rural village. But the reason why we are coming up with this project is it is because we have different kind of challenges. As I mentioned before, we are depend on agriculture. As I said before, it is mostly depend on only rain-fed. So we produce only once a year, and we don't have an access to have more production as like irrigation to produce 3 times in a year. And the other one, we are still using the motor pump to irrigate the land. Where Ethiopia, we doesn't have an oil production, by diesel production, but we are exporting it, and we are using it for irrigation for every purpose of the country. And as you can see here, the water pumping is still using the diesel in the small irrigation villages. So it have a very high cost because we are importing the diesel, and it have also an environmental implication, and it doesn't have an access for all the farmers to use this energy. And also it have also social impact. As you can see, the woman, mostly the woman uses fetching the water to irrigate the land, so it have also social impact and gender impact in the country. And also, as you can see here, we are still like this, using diesel to study for at the house to use a light purpose because we don't have electricity. So it have a health impact in our society. So, but in the other case, where our population is still increasing, so we need better production, better access to electricity, and better energy to produce a better production. These all challenges are lead us food insecurity, environmental and social problems in the country. So we are why coming with this idea to face these challenges. In the other hand, we have a lot of opportunities. We have this amount of sunlight per day in our country. Actually, we call us 30 months of sunshine because we have 30 months, all of the months we have sunshine. We are a different calendar than the world. And we have this amount of irrigated land, but we can access only 3% still now because of the accessibility. Even if we have the potential, we don't have the accessibility to do. And the other one, we have this amount of water that can irrigate the land, but still the problem of energy and accessibility in the country. And our project also, if we can implement it, it is a part of the SDG plan. And as you can see, we can meet more or less half of the SDG plan if we can implement it. Clean energy, food insecurity, gender, social empowerment, and other SDG plans can be met by this project. And the other one, we have the potential. The national policy, the GTP2 plan, have to increase 100% the irrigation land in the country for next production. And we are also following climate resilient green economy strategy. So we have the strategy, the policy, the potential, the water and the energy. Only we need the access. So we came up with this idea to implement the project. Our team, 3 of us, I am I am an agricultural researcher, so I came up from agricultural research. It is my day-to-day activity to meet the farmers and the local people. Actually, I am working on soil and water irrigation program, so it's the day-to-day activity of me, so I can face the problems and the challenges in the ground and to implement. Also, luckily, we have the General Director of Climate Change and Environmental Forest and Climate Change Commission, Mr. Dabasu, and we have also the researcher, the Climate Change, Energy and Development from UN Economic Commission of Africa, Ms. Makalia, to come up with this idea. And we have a connection to the stakeholders that can work with us, like local communities of farmers, because I am more or less an agriculture, so I'm working there, and I know the situation in the farmers, the local and regional leaders, the government, thanks to Mr. Dabasu, Ministry of Water, Irrigation and Environment. I don't know another countries that they follow, how they follow, but in our case, Ministry of Water, Irrigation and Energy is one minister, so all the issues will be goes to this ministry. And we have research and academic institutions that can support us to implement this program. And as my work, we are also working with different irrigation and food security and other research ideas to solve the current farmers' problem. So it will be one part of the stakeholders. Another one, development partners and civic societies. Of course, we have a lot cooperative and unions. We are planning to implement this project in one pilot area, big irrigation site, but with a lot of farmers. So we can have an access to cooperate, to do a cooperation and unions to group the farmers to face and to work together. And we have a lot of cooperative and unions that can supplement us the accesses to do the activity. and national and international private institutions that we will be work. Our project will implement following this idea. We are planning to do the data collections, consultancy work, social and financial activities in this year. And we want to start, if there's a green light in economic and financial situation, to irrigate 1/4 of the irrigation, our pilot area, to see the implementation of the work. And then we are planning to irrigate the whole land. And in this stage, after we do the irrigation, we will have hopefully the production. So we want to proceed to process the production to add the value for market. After we have the production, hopefully farmers will have an access to have some money to buy more solar energies. So we are planning to add some more solar energy panels, and also biodiesel from the processing we will use for energy source for the village. And as we can see, we have, as I said before, that we have the access to sunlight to scale up this production. This activity is suitable more or less for over the Ethiopian region. So now we are planning to implement in this point, in the one pilot point, and then we will implement it in a different agricultural and irrigation villages in the country. If we implement and we succeed, hopefully we will succeed to food security, knowledge and transfer skill in the village and other villages, empowerment and job creation in the country. Thank you, that's all.